Myra Hale had always believed that safety came from love, and love came from trust. For years she lived inside that belief as if it were a warm room where storms could never slip through the windows. Adrian, her husband, had once been the one who pulled out chairs for her, who kissed the back of her hand for no reason, who said that life felt steadier when she was near. Now, as she walked through their wide marble halls with one hand resting protectively over her growing belly, she felt that warmth thinning like a sweater full of tiny holes. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud, just a slow unraveling. It began with missed dinners. Adrian used to text her that he was stuck in traffic or tied up in meetings, but now there weren't even excuses, just silence. Myra set plates for two, waited, and then quietly packed away food while telling herself he must be exhausted. She tried not to notice how the house echoed more lately, how she spoke less because no one was there to answer. His phone, once left on the coffee table without a second thought, now remained glued to his pocket with a new passcode he turned away to type. He smelled of cologne she didn't recognize. Sometimes when he walked past her, she felt like a stranger sharing space with another stranger. Still, Myra clung to hope the way someone clings to the edge of a cliff. She pressed her palm to her belly and told her baby that things would get better, that fathers soften when they feel small kicks and hear tiny heartbeats. She whispered this promise to herself too, even though something inside her knew the truth. Adrian wasn't just drifting away. He was already searching for a door out, leaving her to hold the pieces of a marriage she didn't know was already broken. Brielle Hart entered Adrian's life like a spark landing on dry grass. She was tall, diamond smooth, and carried ambition the way others carried handbags. To her, Adrian wasn't a man to admire. He was an elevator she planned to ride straight to the top of every social ladder. She smiled at him like she already owned the future, and Adrian, hungry for admiration and dazzled by the way she said his name, mistook her attention for fate. Brielle learned about Myra faster than Adrian ever realized. She studied her the way a competitor studies a weakness. Soft, gentle, pregnant, easy to erase. Brielle repeated these observations to Adrian in quiet, calculated whispers, always sweetened with a laugh or a touch on his sleeve. She's too soft for you. She doesn't understand your drive. You're dimming yourself for her comfort. Adrian drank in every word, letting them settle inside him like poison disguised as praise. It didn't take long before he began to believe he deserved more. Deserved someone flashier. Someone who made him feel electric instead of grounded. Someone like Brielle. Their affair didn't stay hidden for long. In the circles where money and gossip sit side by side, their closeness became an open secret. Brielle's hand lingered too long on his arm. Adrian appeared at events without Myra. Luxury hotels learned Brielle's preferred champagne. They didn't care that Myra existed, swelling with pregnancy at home, folding baby clothes in a nursery she painted herself. While Adrian chased thrill and applause, Myra kept believing in the family she thought she still had. She waited for him in rooms he rarely entered anymore, holding on to hope with tired fingers, unaware that Brielle had already convinced Adrian he deserved a new life, even if it meant destroying Myra completely. Myra felt the truth long before she could name it. It lived in the empty side of the bed that used to stay warm until dawn, in the unanswered texts she typed with shaking fingers, in the way Adrian's voice thinned whenever she asked when he would be home. He didn't lie with words at first. He lied with distance. And distance was harder to fight than anything spoken aloud. Her pregnancy should have been a bridge between them, something soft and steady to bring them closer. Instead, every time she placed Adrian's hand on her belly, he flinched like he was being tethered to something he no longer wanted. "I'm busy," he'd say. Or "Not now, Myra." Eventually, he stopped reaching for her at all. Myra tried to explain it away. Work stress. Fatigue. Pressure. The excuses piled up until they looked almost believable. But the truth curled inside her, tight and painful, feeding her anxiety until even breathing felt like a chore. Her doctor warned her to avoid stress, to rest, to eat more, to sleep more. But how could she rest when the man she loved was slipping through her fingers like smoke? Nights became the worst. She would lie awake, one hand on her stomach, listening to the baby's gentle movements, whispering promises she wasn't sure she could keep. Her tears fell quietly, soaking the pillow so Adrian wouldn't hear them when he finally came home at dawn smelling of perfume that didn't belong to her. She wanted to confront him, but fear held her still. Fear of the truth. Fear that her family was shattering before it even began. Her body weakened day by day, her steps slower, her chest tighter. Yet she kept telling herself he'd return to how he once was. She clung to hope with trembling hands, unaware that Adrian wasn't done drifting. He was preparing to break whatever remained of her faith completely. Myra had been folding tiny socks, the kind so small they looked like they belonged to a doll, when the alert lit up her phone. She didn't expect danger to come wrapped in pink and gold graphics, framed with celebrity comments and trending hashtags. But there it was, bold and merciless. Millionaire Adrian Hale marries supermodel Brielle Hart in surprise luxury ceremony. For a moment, she didn't understand the words. They felt like a foreign language. She blinked once, twice, and then her breath vanished. The room tilted, the walls blurred, and her hands turned numb. Adrian hadn't asked for a divorce. He hadn't even told her he was leaving. He had simply replaced her, publicly, extravagantly, shamelessly. The image that burned itself into her mind wasn't even the headline. It was the photo beneath it. Adrian smiling with ease, his arm around Brielle's waist, the model leaning in with a victorious sparkle in her eyes. They stood under crystal chandeliers and rose arches, surrounded by applause. As if Myra had never existed. As if she wasn't carrying his child. As if her suffering was nothing more than a forgotten inconvenience. Her heart punched against her ribs, wild and painful. Something inside her snapped like a string pulled too tight. A sharp wave rippled across her body, stealing her balance and turning her legs to water. She grabbed the edge of the crib but her grip slipped. She hit the floor on her knees, one hand clawing at her stomach, the other pressing against the cold tiles. Her breath came in short, broken pieces. Panic, heartbreak, and physical pain tangled into something unbearable. She tried to call out, but all that escaped her lips was a faint, fractured sound. Her baby kicked lightly, as if sensing her terror. A neighbor heard the thud. Another heard her gasp. Within minutes, they were by her side, voices rising in alarm, hands lifting her carefully. Myra's consciousness flickered like a candle in a storm. Fear soaked through her, thick and suffocating. Not for herself, but for the tiny life depending on her. As she was rushed to the hospital, the world continued celebrating Adrian's new marriage, reposting pictures and praising the perfect couple. While Myra fought to stay awake, her husband toasted champagne with the woman he'd chosen over the wife collapsing alone in their home. Lucian Vale had trained himself to stay away from Myra, even when every instinct in him wanted to turn back. Years ago, he let her go because she said she wanted a simple life, a gentle life, a life without the noise that followed a man like him. He respected that wish, even if it carved something hollow in his chest. But the moment he saw her name flash across the news ticker, everything inside him locked up. Pregnant woman collapses after husband's sudden wedding announcement. There was no need for details. He knew. He felt it. A cold shock raced through him, stealing the air from his lungs. The world around him blurred until only her name stayed sharp. Myra. Lucian dropped everything. Calls. Meetings. Deals worth millions. None of it mattered. He walked out of his boardroom with a face so unreadable his team didn't dare follow. The only thing in his mind was the image of Myra alone in a hospital, scared and hurting, abandoned by the man she trusted. He arrived at the hospital with the force of a storm held tightly behind calm eyes. For once, there was no distance between what he felt and what he chose. He wasn't going to fail her again. Not now. Not ever. Lucian stepped into the hospital with a calm so sharp it felt like a blade. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead while nurses whispered, unsure why a billionaire known for ruthless business moves was walking through their quiet hallway with eyes full of worry. When he reached Myra's room, the sight nearly broke him. She lay propped against a stack of 2 flat pillows, her skin pale, her breath shallow. One hand rested over her belly, curled almost protectively, as if she feared the world might reach in and take the little life she still fought for. When Myra noticed him, embarrassment flickered across her face. She tried to sit straighter, to pretend she wasn't falling apart, but her voice cracked when she said his name. Lucian didn't ask questions. He just sat down in the chair beside her and stayed still, as if the whole building would collapse if he moved too quickly. Then he called for specialists. Not one. Not two. All the leading experts he trusted in prenatal care, emergency medicine, and maternal cardiology. He hired private security to guard the door. He demanded round-the-clock monitoring. Staff whispered that he looked like a man ready to fight an invisible war. Myra kept asking why he was doing all this, her voice small but steady, her eyes confused. Lucian only told her to rest. He didn't give her speeches or promises. His presence alone became her anchor, something warm and steady to hold on to while the rest of her world crumbled. For the first time since her collapse, Myra breathed without shaking. Lucian didn't waste a single night. While Myra slept under watchful eyes and machines that beeped softly, he activated every connection he had across cities, industries, and borders. His people worked in shadows, digging through data that Adrian thought he had buried beneath golden lies and polished public appearances. What they found spread like poison through Lucian's veins. Hidden accounts in offshore banks. Large sums transferred to Brielle under fake consulting labels. Investments tied to illegal gambling operations. Money siphoned directly from the company Myra helped build with her own savings. It got worse. Documents revealed that funds specifically allocated for Myra's prenatal care had been quietly withdrawn and diverted into Brielle's fashion deals. Adrian hadn't just betrayed her emotionally. He had endangered her life and the life growing inside her. Lucian read the files in silence, jaw clenched hard enough to ache. The betrayal was deeper than infidelity. It was neglect. It was cruelty wrapped in financial strategy. Adrian had carved Myra out of his life piece by piece long before he made his public vows to Brielle. The final blow came from a medical consultant Lucian paid to review Myra's health timeline. The stress, the fainting spells, the collapse, it all linked to emotional abandonment and lack of proper medical support. Adrian had walked away while she was already breaking. Lucian didn't gather this information for revenge. He gathered it because Myra deserved to know the truth behind the pain she carried. He wanted justice for her, not a spectacle. But he also knew that a man like Adrian didn't stop destroying others until someone stronger made him. Lucian intended to be that wall. For Myra. For her baby. For every piece of dignity Adrian tried to steal from her. Adrian panics the moment he realizes Lucian is involved. It feels like someone turned the spotlight he loves into a burning interrogation lamp aimed straight at his face. In a rush to control the narrative, he releases a long statement online calling Myra unstable and emotionally unpredictable due to pregnancy. He expects sympathy. Instead, the internet raises an eyebrow so sharp it might as well cut through the lie. People dig up old interviews where he bragged about loyalty. They post screenshots of him praising Myra during charity events. His words boomerang back and hit him in the ego. Brielle tries to help by flooding her social media feed with glittering poses, expensive rings, and captions about new beginnings. But every photo feels staged, like a smile stretched too tight across a cracking mask. Comments pour in asking why she married a man whose pregnant wife was in the hospital. Some accuse her of being part of the collapse. Trolls compare her to discount villains from old dramas. The pressure slithers under her skin, hot and sharp. Then Lucian drops the bomb. Not publicly. Not loudly. Just a quiet leak to the right hands. Financial documents, timelines, payment trails. Like dominoes, news channels pick up the story. Headlines flash across screens. Investors panic. Adrian's empire wobbles like a tower built on wet sand. Brielle watches the backlash spread like wildfire and suddenly wonders if she married a sinking ship with gold paint. Adrian watches everything burn, realizing too late that the internet devours men who try to hide rot with pretty words. Adrian storms into the hospital like a man trying to reclaim a kingdom he already lost. His voice booms down the hallway as he orders nurses around, demanding to see his wife and insisting he has every right to make decisions for her. But when he pushes open the door, he stops short. Myra isn't trembling anymore. She sits upright in the hospital bed, her back straight, her hands resting over her belly in quiet protection. Her eyes hold none of the fear he's used to. Instead, they carry a calm that feels stronger than anger, stronger than heartbreak. He starts talking fast, trying to twist the situation, trying to blame stress, misunderstandings, pregnancy mood swings. He expects her to crumble. He expects tears. Apologies. Please. Myra doesn't give him any of that. Her voice is steady, smooth as a closed door. She tells him he is no longer part of her life or her child's. Not now. Not ever again. There are no raised voices. No accusations. Just truth delivered like a clean cut through everything he thought he controlled. Adrian stares at her, stunned. For the first time, he sees the woman he underestimated standing firm, her strength shaped by pain he caused. And he finally understands he cannot break her anymore. When the lawsuits arrive like a tidal wave, Brielle is the first to feel the cold snap of fear. The photographers who once chased her now swarm with questions she can't answer. Investors pull out. Adrian's board members resign. News commentators dissect every shady deal, every leaked document, every lie. Brielle watches it all unfold from behind designer sunglasses, her nerves stretched thin. She scrolls through headlines that once adored her and now tear her apart. The glamorous fairytale she fought for is turning into a sinking ship. And she refuses to go down with it. She starts scrubbing her online world clean. Posts vanish. Photos disappear. Captions turn vague. She quietly removes Adrian's last name from her social media bio as if erasing a stain. The penthouse they shared feels like a cage now, so she packs her things with rushed, trembling hands. No goodbye note. No explanation. Just escape. Adrian returns home to echoes. No Brielle. No warmth. No loyalty. Only the sharp scent of abandonment and the bitter taste of consequences. As his company crumbles and his reputation burns, Adrian finally understands what it means to lose everything. Not suddenly, but piece by piece. Until all he has left is regret and an empty penthouse that once glittered with lies. Weeks later, when dawn is still rubbing sleep from its eyes, Myra feels the first sharp wave of pain roll through her. It steals her breath for a moment, then another comes, stronger, pushing her into the truth she has been waiting for. The baby is ready. Lucian is at her side in seconds. He doesn't panic. He doesn't flinch. He simply offers his hand, steady and warm, as if he can shoulder half the pain for her. Through every contraction, every tremor, every whispered gasp, he stays close enough for her to lean on. His voice stays low and grounding, like a lighthouse cutting through fog. Hours pass in a blur of effort and fear and determination. Myra squeezes his hand so tightly he feels his pulse in his fingertips, but he never lets go. Not once. And then the crying fills the room. The nurse places a tiny, wrinkled, perfect newborn in Myra's arms. Her breath breaks, but this time from relief, not sorrow. She feels something inside her knit itself back together, a piece of her soul returning home after wandering too long in darkness. Lucian watches with a quiet awe that softens every edge in him. He knows, without speaking it aloud, that this moment is something he will guard for the rest of his life. Lucian builds Myra a world made of soft edges. Not mansions flashing gold or rooms echoing with emptiness, but a warm home tucked near the sea, where the windows breathe sunlight and the hallways feel alive with quiet safety. He hires doctors who listen, not lecture. Therapists who speak gently. Nurses who know how to hold both mother and child with equal care. He never asks for anything in return. No promises. No labels. No future she isn't ready for. Instead, he simply shows up. Every morning, every appointment, every moment her strength wavers. And in those steady days, Myra begins to rise again. Her shoulders loosen. Her laughter, small at first, like a shy bird, returns. She fits her baby against her chest, walks through her new home, and realizes she no longer flinches at shadows. Lucian stays a few steps behind her, never pushing, never guiding unless she reaches for him. His presence is like early dawn light, gentle, warm, patient, growing brighter only when she's ready to see it. Meanwhile, Adrian disappears into the background of her story, swallowed by his own downfall, his relevance collapsing with his empire. Myra no longer says his name. She no longer needs to. People begin to speak of her with admiration, calling her a symbol of quiet resilience. Myra doesn't chase the title, but she carries it with grace. And Lucian. He becomes her peace. Not because he saved her, but because he walked beside her while she saved herself.